Good evening. 5 people have been taken to hospital after an incident that ended in a police-involved shooting this afternoon.
It happened in North York. 2 officers suffered minor injuries, and tonight the province's Special Investigations Unit has invoked its mandate. CTV's Beth McDonnell is live tonight at the scene near Jane and Choram. And Beth, what do we know at this point about how this all started?
Michelle, Natalie, I'm on Shoreham Court, which is near Jane and Steeles. And what I can tell you is that Toronto police responded to a call about a male with a knife shortly before 3:30 this afternoon. And when they arrived, they found 2 people with stab wounds. One, paramedics tell us, is a man. He has serious, possibly life-threatening injuries and was transported to hospital. The other victim, paramedics tell us, is a woman, and she has non-life-threatening injuries. From there, Toronto police encountered a male, they say, with an edged weapon, and from there, police tell us there was a shooting, that officers discharged their firearm, and the male suspect was also transported to hospital. We are told from paramedics that that suspect who was shot is a man and was taken in to hospital in serious, possibly life-threatening condition. So from this incident, we also know that 2 police officers have suffered minor injuries. There are still some blanks as to what caused those injuries, how that occurred. I can tell you here on Shoreham Court right now at this hour, there are many police officers. We have been seeing them gather in a circle and talk about various things. We also know that the SIU has been called in to now investigate this, as this was a police-involved shooting. We are hoping to learn more from the SIU within the next hour, even beyond, even possibly Toronto police say they may be able to give us a few more details, so we are standing by for that. Back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Meantime, police are investigating an early morning shooting in Kensington Market.
Investigators believe the victim was targeted. Surveillance video obtained by CTV News captured the moments the shots rang out. CTV Sean Leithong joins us live with the latest. Sean.
Well, Natalie and Michelle, we obtained that security footage from a restaurant very close to where I'm standing. So you see the area behind me. In the footage, you'll see somebody come from this side of the screen and start opening fire. He hits one man, another runs away. There was as many as 7 shots fired.
2:36 a.m. at the corner of Augusta and Oxford in the heart of Kensington Market. 3 people can be seen standing on the corner. The first shot. A second shot. One man's hit, falling to the pavement. Another man runs south on Augusta. The gunman continues to fire, 7 shots in all. The shooter, along with another man, vacate the area. The victim left wounded in the road before bystanders call police.
Officers arrived on scene and located a male victim in his 30s who had been shot.
According to police, the man was taken to hospital in life-threatening condition as Augusta Street remained closed for the morning.
The preliminary information we have is that this was a targeted event.
According to witnesses, 2 men were seen fleeing east on Oxford Street.
I don't know whether the firecrackers or gunshots, but that's it's been a while since I've last heard anything like that.
The annual winter solstice party happened in Kensington last night, with the shooting happening hours after it wrapped up, as residents like Ian Watson woke up to learn of the shooting.
Yeah, I've lived in this neighborhood all my life, and so I'm kind of used to it, but it's definitely, you know, the city in general has gone downhill in many ways.
Police are asking the public for help as they seek these 2 suspects. As for the victim,
Initially, the reports that we have is that the person was in life-threatening condition. I have been updated that that has been upgraded to non-life-threatening, but very serious.
there's been no word on the person fleeing from the shots.
And Natalie, the police are asking for any help that can be given, mostly anybody who might have dash cam footage, any security camera footage, as they're trying to piece this together. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Natalie and Michelle, send it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. And Toronto police are investigating after shots were fired in a residential area in Scarborough this morning. No injuries were reported, but evidence markers could be seen on Cindy Nicholas Drive near Morningside and Military Trail. The shooting happened shortly after 9 o'clock this morning. Police say a house and a vehicle were damaged. No suspect information is available at this time.
Police have identified a suspect in a weekend murder near Strawn and Wellington. Police responded to a residence in the area around 6:30 Saturday morning after receiving a report about a missing woman on Friday night. Shortly after, the woman was found, and investigators determined her death was the result of homicide. The victim has been identified as 30-year-old Himanshi Khurana. Police have not said how she was killed, but say she had some form of relationship with the suspect. Police are looking for 32-year-old Abdul Ghafouri on a Canada-wide warrant for first-degree murder. This is Toronto's 40th homicide of the year. Anyone with information on Ghafouri's location is being asked to call Toronto Police or Crime Stoppers.
Still to come, a rise in retail thefts has small business owners concerns. Coming up, we'll hear firsthand about a problem that is cutting into the bottom line of businesses across the GTA. More news in a moment, but first a live look outside on this Monday night. We saw some lovely sunshine earlier today. It is mostly cloudy right now, but we are sitting on the plus side. Lindsay Morrison is here with a closer look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Yeah, Natalie, it's interesting. Our temperature is going to factor into our forecast quite a few times this week. Mild enough right now for us to maybe see a quick passing rain shower this evening. But overnight tonight, we are forecasting some snow and maybe a couple of centimeters of it by the time we are waking up tomorrow morning. Want to talk about the winds coming out of the southwest this evening? That helped drive our temperature this afternoon. We're still at 3 degrees right now. Feels slightly cooler than that if you're venturing out this evening. Keep in mind it's going to feel below freezing. And then overnight tonight, the temperature holds near zero. That is cold enough for us to see some snow, which we are expecting. But there could be some light freezing rain or freezing drizzle, maybe a few rain showers mixing in. And then tomorrow, a transition happens to rain as the temperature soars once again. We're going to take you through the forecast, which includes your Christmas Eve and Christmas Day coming up. For now, though, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. And still to come tonight, there's no place like home for the holidays. CTV's Allison Hurst will take you inside Pearson Airport as families are reunited with days to go before Christmas.
And with Christmas just days away, shoppers are in full force hunting for last-minute gifts.
Still shopping, but got it all done. Trying to get it all done before the hectic, rush hour.
Not quite yet. A few more things to get it.
You're kind of a
I got my wife all over the place.
This is just a small thing for my family, and that's it.
Yeah.
Almost done.
I was done a month ago.
You're done? But
yeah.
So you're just in here for fun now?
Just doing a return on something.
Oh, okay.
It is down to the wire now with just 3 shopping days left to grab those last-minute gifts. Most malls have extended hours today and tomorrow, staying open until 9:30 p.m. But if you are still scrambling on Christmas Eve, you'll have to head out early with most shopping centers closing around 5 p.m.
And in the final few days of the holiday shopping season, small business owners have been tallying their totals, many dependent on year-end profits to stay afloat.
But amid the festive frenzy, some of these stores have been targeted by thieves, affecting their Christmas sales and spirits. In this cozy vintage clothing store on Queen Street East,
Diane von Furstenberg, really nice suit.
Everything is caught on camera.
We've got signs outside saying that you will be recorded, so please don't steal because we will have to press charges.
And yet this small business in the beach has had more than $1,000 worth of merchandise stolen since September.
We realized that they were coming in groups, couples, 2 or more, and they were chit-chatting and being really friendly, taking their time, acting like regular shoppers. And then all of a sudden, when your back is turned or when they're in the change room, stuff goes missing.
This security camera footage shows one of the alleged incidents at the end of November, as a man appears to shove merchandise into his jacket. 3 days earlier, a store down the street was targeted, this woman appearing to stuff children's clothing into her skirt.
They're stealing so much at one time. Whatever I have in sizes, they'll grab all of it and then go to another style and then do it. So they're probably reselling it.
10 days later, thieves back again, this time with a baby, allegedly stealing more items, concealing them under their clothing.
This issue is escalating, it's untenable, it's not sustainable, and quite frankly now it requires an urgent response.
People will come in with groups, they'll recognize that staff members are busy serving all their customers, and they'll try to take advantage of that.
Crime Prevention Officer Constable Jonathan Little is urging small businesses to take proactive measures to protect themselves against theft during the busy shopping season.
If you have expensive items within your business, keep those items under lock and key if possible, or to bring them closer to staff members so that they can keep an eye on those expensive items. Also, having a good camera system inside your business or signs showing that you have surveillance.
For the small shops with thin margins, mounting thefts can make or break the business they have built.
These small businesses, as resilient as they are in a supportive community, how long can they sustain these losses?
It affects our profits for the year, and this is Christmas time.
The time of year they'd rather focus on spreading cheer.
It doesn't just hurt your bottom line, but it hurts your heart a little bit too.
Determined to keep the joy of the holiday season alive and to prevent thieves from stealing their Christmas spirit. Changes to how new teachers are certified in Ontario will likely be announced next year. In a year-end interview with the Canadian Press, Education Minister Paul Calandra says he is looking at shortening the length of Teachers College. Calandra says he will share the final decision in the new year and that more practical time will be an element of it. Ontario has among the shortest practicum periods for teachers in Canada at 80 days. We are learning more about the venue where around $10 million in government money was spent to train workers, a venue that was then licensed as an adult entertainment club.
CTV's John Woodward spoke to one of the people slated to dance there as opposition politicians push for the arrangement to be examined in an investigation by the legislature's ethics watchdog.
Zlatko Starkovsky's nightclubs in Toronto have brought in big names in showbiz and often in politics as well. Starkovsky was dubbed the favorite nightclub owner of former Toronto mayor and late brother of the premier, Rob Ford.
There is a brand new club in the city.
But it was his application this year for an adult entertainment club license at FYE Nightclub that got Ontario's political opposition fired up. After all, this was the venue where the controversial Skills Development Fund paid almost $10 million over 4 years to a partner agency for retraining women who may need to enter a new line of work.
Did the Premier actually give $10 million of taxpayer money to the owners of a strip club?
The Minister of Labour.
No. Just one of many controversial grants through the province's $2.5 billion Skills Development Fund. The minister overseeing that fund, now the subject of an investigation by the legislature's Integrity Commissioner. CTV News obtained Starkovsky's business license application through a Freedom of Information request. It shows floor plans and a promise of a sophisticated burlesque experience featuring Pastel Supernova.
Been there. I've worked there.
Reached by CTV News, Supernova says she hasn't performed there this year and said burlesque is very different than stripping, though authorities often license them the same way.
It's tricky because some places to do burlesque, you need that type of license.
That license also displayed at Club Paradise on Bloor, where court documents show Starkovsky was once in business with the current operators. He's also listed as being paid about $32,000 in fundraising expenses by the PC Party in 2022. He didn't return calls from CTV News, but in the past has denied that any government money went to train anyone at FYE Nightclub. The Ford government denies Jobs Fund money went to FYE Nightclub and says an inspection in November didn't find any concerns about the training at the building.
I think it's ridiculous for them to try to pretend like they don't know the kind of nature of his businesses. And if they didn't, then they didn't do their due diligence.
Opposition parties hoping the Integrity Commissioner will explore the connections. John Woodward, CTV News.
The union representing about 55,000 Canada Post workers is recommending members accept tentative agreements announced today. The deals cover both the urban postal operations and rural and suburban mail carrier bargaining units. The financially troubled Crown Corporation says the agreements include a 6.5% wage increase in the first year, followed by a 3% hike in the second year, and increases matching the annual inflation rate in years 3 through 5. There would also be enhanced benefits. CUPW is is urging workers to ratify the two deals during votes early next year. The agreements would be in effect until January of 2029.
The Prime Minister confirmed today his choice for Canada's next ambassador to the U.S. The announcement comes at a crucial time as Ottawa gets set to renegotiate the existing North American trade agreement. CTV's Jeremy Charon reports.
He is a global investment banker, pension fund manager, and friend of Prime Minister Mark Carney. Now, Mark Wiseman will be Canada's next ambassador to the U.S.
There is going to be an enormous amount of hurdles and landmines that the ambassador is going to have to walk through.
He steps into what is widely viewed as Canada's top foreign post without any diplomatic experience, but the Prime Minister's office points to his extensive experience at American financial institutions and knowledge of capital markets on both sides of the border.
He brings that outside of politics, real-world experience that I think will be of benefit to the country for sure.
In a social media post announcing the appointment, the Prime Minister says, "As a core member of our negotiating team, I know he will advance the interests of Canadian workers, businesses, and institutions."
Carney is betting that Wiseman's finance credentials will command the attention and the respect of Trump.
A bet that couldn't come with higher stakes for the trade relationship between the two countries.
And there's a lot of anxiety over sectoral tariffs and then the Kuzma review. So really important here in this case that the Prime Minister has recruited someone who's a globally recognized deal maker.
In 2025, the current Kuzma deal helps shield Canada from the worst impacts of tariffs. But with its review set to begin in the new year, there are no guarantees.
The president can and quite possibly will walk away from this agreement. And if he does, then I think all bets are off.
Sources tell CTV News Wiseman won't be alone at the negotiating table. The Prime Minister, along with Dominic LeBlanc, the Minister in charge of Canada-U.S. relations, will also play critical roles. Jeremy Charon, CTV News, Ottawa.
Overseas, the appointment of a special U.S. envoy to Greenland has resulted in some pushback from Europe.
What I can say about the EU position is the following, which has been our long-standing position on the matter, that preserving the territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark, its sovereignty, and the inviolability of its borders is essential for the European Union.
Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry has been chosen for the role, but the prime ministers of Denmark and Greenland are demanding respect for their territorial integrity. They issued a joint statement saying, quote, "You cannot annex another country, not even with an argument about international security." The announcement caused a new flare-up of tensions over Washington's interest in the semi-autonomous territory of Denmark.
In Turkey, debate gave way to a free-for-all during the final day of budget talks in Parliament. Members of the AK ruling party scuffled with lawmakers from the People's Republican Party yesterday, and it quickly escalated as more joined the fray. The parliamentary speaker managed to eventually adjourn the meeting, and the General Assembly convened later, passing the 2026 budget.
To the UK, where police declared a major incident after a sinkhole opened up under a canal. The collapse drained part of the canal, leaving narrow boats stuck inside the roughly 50-meter by 50-meter stretch. Other vessels were stranded in shallow waters with nearby land flooded. Emergency services in the English country of Shropshire have asked residents to avoid the area. No injuries were reported, and about a dozen people were evacuated from boats nearby.
Locals are hopeful it will draw new residents and help force a fresh identity for the community. An entire village is for sale in Australia. Poatina in Tasmania has been managed by a Christian charity for the past 30 years. It was originally purchased by Fusion Australia to run youth training programs, which recently stopped operating. And with an aging population and annual financial losses, the organization says it's time to sell. Any new residents had to agree to bylaws that encourage community volunteering, but a new set of rules is expected before the end of the year that should make it easier for people to settle in the village. Well, it is the busiest travel time of the year as Canadians take a vacation or visit family and friends.
But it appears there is one destination that is still getting the cold shoulder. CTV's Scott Hurst explains.
We have boycotted traveling to the States.
Travel to the United States continues to take a hit. In October, according to new data from StatsCan,
The number of Canadians returning on trips from the U.S. was down more than 26% year over year. Political turmoil with the current U.S. administration erupted soon after Donald Trump returned to the White House, and he began poking fun at America's northern neighbor and attacking Canada's sovereignty. It is a trend that has remained consistent for much of the year, Canadians saying no to popular U.S. travel hotspots.
A lot of concern going forward about who is going to be traveling and will they be traveling back to the U.S., and time will only tell. But at this point, definitely I'm seeing a reduction in crowds and people and lineups and reservations and anything like that.
It is a similar story for Canadians traveling south of the border back by car. Return trips by Canadian residents from the U.S. on land declined more than 30% to 1.6 million in October. Here's one category that has turned around. Trips to Canada by U.S. residents has increased for the first time in 8 months. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, there was no shortage of passengers arriving at Pearson Airport today, either returning home or visiting ahead of the holidays.
CTV's Allison Hurst was on hand to catch some of the warm welcomes.
The anticipation was mounting as Gurpar Tapgil and family waited to see his brother.
He's coming to Canada for his studies now, so just waiting here with these signs and some balloons.
The moment they saw him, they took off for the ramp, holding signs and balloons. Ready to embrace a new chapter, living in the same city.
That's the only reason I came on 23rd, because I'm looking forward to see Christmas as well. Christmas is celebrated brilliantly here. So I'm really, excited and want to spend the rest of the time with my family.
Mary Connors could hardly contain her excitement, racing to her parents who she hadn't seen for almost 2 years.
Brilliant. Yeah, just for the grandkids now. Yeah. Christmas.
While Pankit Patel's 2-year reunion with her mother left her speechless.
Very. I can't express myself.
Yuman Wang took a few minutes to make a special welcome while waiting for her family to arrive from Korea.
My parents and my older sister is coming.
While Shane Rogan is traveling prepared for that special moment, flowers in hand.
Oh yeah, that was the first stop. I had to pick them up.
He is flying through Toronto to Montreal from Dublin to see his girlfriend.
I'm excited. It's been so long. I haven't seen her since August, so it's great, yeah.
Emotions high for everyone reconnecting.
It's actually been a year. And I live in New York, but I was there on a green card, and with things happening, I didn't feel I could come back until I had my American passport.
Braden Kruger made the trip from Slovakia for just 3 days to see his parents.
My mom's birthday is the 24th, and so I want to be there for that. And my brother's also in Japan, and so I feel a little bit more pressure trying to come home. So get home next year.
First of all, I was crying over other reunions that were happening today. And I'm thrilled.
Thrilled to be reunited this holiday season. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Still to come, one-on-one with Toronto's top cop to discuss the year that was and talk about the crime trend that has him concerned heading into 2026.
I'm Pat Four, and coming up on Consumer Alert, many people have glass tables, but did you know they can shatter at any time for no apparent reason? One family says their dining room table just exploded into tiny pieces in the middle of the night. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
Well, if you're traveling tomorrow morning, you are likely to encounter some active weather. First in the form of snow overnight tonight and early morning. Then we see a transition to rain, but there could also be a brief period of freezing rain in there. This model is indicating we could get perhaps upwards of 5 centimeters of snow. But again, if we do get some rain mixing in, that will lessen these amounts. Either way, plan on it being a bit of a messy start to Tuesday. Travel less tricky for Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to take you through your festive forecast when CTV News returns in 2 minutes.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, glass furniture can be elegant, and many people have glass tables in their homes.
While they are generally considered safe, glass tables can occasionally shatter for no apparent reason. Here's Pat Foran in Consumer Alert.
A Toronto family says they heard a loud bang in the middle of the night that sounded like a gunshot. They came downstairs to find their glass table had shattered, leaving a huge mess of broken glass.
We were sleeping, and all of a sudden at 4:30 in the morning, we heard a huge bang coming from downstairs.
Sonia Rahman of Toronto says she and her husband got quite a shock when they went to their living room and saw their glass dining room table had shattered into thousands of tiny pieces.
Then I looked down, then I'm like, where's my table? So to our shock, we find that there's shattered glass all over the ground.
Rahman says the table was about 3 years old and there had been no issues with it. At first, she was worried someone was trying to break into her house.
It was like a huge bang. So my thing was, it was probably someone trying to break in through the front door. Even the thought of maybe gunshots outside, it was that loud. We were both shocked and horrified and terrified to see what happened.
There are many cases online that show how glass tables can spontaneously break. Usually this happens with tempered glass, which is stronger than standard glass, but it's also under high internal stress. Sometimes a small scratch or a nick in the glass can be enough to make it explode, and it's often when no one's around. There have been issues with imported glass from China, and this patio set was involved in a recall. Rahman said in the commotion in the middle of the night, her husband slipped and hit his head, but luckily no one was cut.
He's okay, but things could have been much worse.
It took a long time to clean up the mess, and Rahman says going forward, she won't be buying glass furniture again.
Absolutely not. I've learned my lesson. We are going back to traditional wood.
If you have tempered glass furniture, be careful not to hit the edges or allow any hard object to strike the glass. You can also have laminated tempered glass, which is when there is a film over the glass to hold it together if it does break. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, we pay attention to the weather forecast every week of the year, but I feel like this week is one of those weeks where you have a lot of people tuning in wanting to know, is the weather going to impact my plans?
Yeah, it's the festive forecast. As my kids reminded me this morning, tomorrow is Christmas Eve. So everyone is really counting down the days. What's it going to look like, Linz?
Yeah, only a couple more sleeps until Santa. We're counting down in my house, too. And right now, I think it's a bit of a dilemma between two camps, those who are dreaming of a white Christmas and those who would much prefer to have clear, dry roads for their Christmas travels, their holiday plans. Well, here's what I can tell you. As we make our way through the next couple of days, the temperature is going to play a big part in what happens. This was this morning. We had a beautiful sunrise over the city of Toronto, the day after the winter solstice, as we celebrate the return of light. Of course, it's very gradual at first. Our days now starting to get longer by a couple of seconds, followed by a couple of minutes by the time we reach spring. But we'll take it. I think most of us will. And as we make our way into tomorrow morning, we might not be able to enjoy the sunrise quite the same way because we'll be dealing with a little bit of snow. So this is a clipper system that's moving in. As we know, these are generally fast movers. They bring us a couple of centimeters of snow and then they move on out. Here's what this one looks to do. Things really get going as we make our way through the overnight hours. So once we move past midnight, that's when we expect the snowfall to somewhat accumulate. So maybe 2 to 5 centimeters of snow around the GTA. Expect less the closer you are to the shoreline of Lake Ontario, where the temperature factors in once again. This model showing significantly more snow the further north you go in the GTA, perhaps to the Caledon area, for example. There's midnight tonight, and then as we're waking up tomorrow morning, you can see that the snow becomes a little more widespread. But as the temperature rises through the morning, we do see a changeover in many areas from snow to some rain. There could even be a brief period of some mixing ice pellets or even light freezing rain at times. So either way, Tuesday morning commute could be a little bit messy. If you have the opportunity to work from home or perhaps you're on holidays already, wouldn't that be nice? a good day to stay off the roads if you can. Then things become pretty quiet as we head into Tuesday, second half of the day, Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, we're not looking at a whole lot of fresh snow by the time we reach Thursday morning, but at least travel won't be too tricky until we get to Friday. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Right now it is 3 degrees, so it's nice and mild at Pearson Airport. Overnight tonight, our temperature looks to hold steady at about 0. That is cool enough for snow, but it's also mild enough for, again, us to see some rain mixing in. And 6 degrees tomorrow, that is certainly on the mild side, even for this time of year. Winds are also going to pick up in strength, so that's worth mentioning. 70K gusts expected once again out of the southwest and then the west. It will still be a little bit cooler in areas like Minden, for example. 1 degree is our forecast daytime high. We've talked about this a couple of times, but it's worth reminding you that Environment Canada actually has a definition for a white Christmas, and for it, you need 2 centimeters of snow on the ground at 7 a.m. on Christmas morning. We are looking mild until then, mostly cloudy for your Thursday and a high of 2 degrees. There's Friday with the possibility of some freezing rain or a period of it. We'll detail this a little further coming up later in the show. But for now, Natalie, I'm going to send it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Still to come tonight, a lottery winner gives back. Find out how a $70 million jackpot recipient helped make Christmas a little brighter for her community. Well, this year, tragic shootings, hate-fueled crimes, and violent incidents have weighed heavily on the public sense of safety.
But as the year comes to a close, Toronto police say 2025 marked a turning point. Key crime indicators are down and response times are faster. CTV News sat down with Police Chief Myron Demkiw to talk about the progress, continued concerns, and the work ahead for 2026.
The continued investment is paying off.
Looking back on 2025, Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw is cautiously optimistic.
And as the year's coming to a close, there's a lot to look at from a safety perspective that has gone in the right direction.
Homicides are down nearly 54% compared to last year. The number of shootings and firearm discharges dropped significantly. Auto thefts are down nearly 27%. Break-and-enter crime declined 11%, although the reduction in crime does follow a notably violent 2024.
We are in the midst of a multi-year hiring plan, which has allowed us to put more police officers into key roles, and that's paying dividends, and we're seeing the results of that, certainly in some of our crime statistics.
The more than 8,200-member police service includes just over 5,500 police officers, and there's a request to hire more. A growing team, Chief Demkiw says, allows them to get to scenes faster. 2 years ago, the average response time for a Priority 1 call was 20 minutes. Today, it's down to 13 and a half.
I would suggest, as a lifelong Torontonian, 13 and a half minutes is not the standard. We have work to do still.
One of his biggest concerns is youth crime.
We are seeing more and more young people involved in very, very violent events. People being apprehended with illegal firearms. The number of youths being apprehended is growing at a very significant rate. We also see the involvement of youth in our murders growing.
A moment that shook the city, the death of 8-year-old Jave Roy, struck by a stray bullet while at home in bed with his mother.
I want to start by saying how much I miss my son.
Since Jave's murder back in August, 3 youths, one who was 15 at the time, have been arrested.
It's hard not to look back at the year and not think of young Jave, 8-year-old child killed by a stray bullet. In those moments, you're the chief, but I'm also a father who raised kids in our city and not very far from that neighborhood.
The chief says it's time for action and collaboration to put a stop to the pattern that starts long before a teen picks up a gun.
A lot of different partners and players in the system, whether it's healthcare, education, social services, families, faith groups, all of these things have had exposure to the life of that person. Are there opportunities to come together differently and disrupt that negative path?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Demkiw.
Having taken the helm in 2022 and with his contract renewed for 4 years in September, the 35-year veteran has overseen budgets critics say have ballooned. The Toronto Police Services Board approved a 7% increase in the operating budget next year, bringing the total to $1.43 billion. Council will vote on it in early 2026.
If you look at our budget, it's over 90% people costs, and that's the nature of policing budgets.
One of the major pressure points the last couple of years and in the wake of the October 7th attack has been a dramatic rise in hate crime, in particular anti-Semitism, prompting additional resources to the hate crime unit while also lobbying for new legislative tools to better deal with the challenges.
I think one of the most important priorities continues to be around building trust, both in our communities we serve and within our organization.
Among the top cops' priorities for the new year is closing the gap between the improving crime data and a public that still feels unsafe. Recent efforts to tackle that sentiment include an expanded neighborhood community officer program and police deployed on transit, as well as in the downtown core.
Do you think the city's safe?
Yes, I do. I think the city is safe. This is a massive city, over 3.2 million people, an incredible world-renowned city that attracts over 27 million visitors a year. And time again, we are recognized for being an incredible city to live, work, play, and visit. And it is an indication of the safety.
A new year ahead with new pressures as Toronto prepares to host the FIFA World Cup and new expectations that increased investment in policing is felt beyond the numbers.
Doctors are urging Canadians to get vaccinated for influenza as soon as possible. This country is experiencing its highest flu positivity rate in 3 years.
If we look at this flu season in retrospect at the end of the year, and we're going to compare it to an average flu season in Canada, this will likely be a much more challenging one. Sadly, more cases, more hospitalizations, more bad outcomes. It's probably going to shake out to be one of those. Kind of not surprising. We look at the Southern Hemisphere as an imperfect barometer as to what our flu season is going to look like. And Australia had one of their worst flu seasons on record as well. It's shaping up to be a nasty one here in Canada.
Dr. Isaac Bogosh says the flu season will likely peak over the holidays here in Ontario. The province saw a positivity rate of 33.8% for the week ending December 13th. Nationally, nearly 28% of tests came back positive for the same period. Widespread activity was reported in 11 regions in 5 provinces.
Holiday meals were handed out to the community at College in Spadina this afternoon. The El Macombo hosted a neighborhood outreach effort, donating 200 hot meals to the Scott Mission and serving up hundreds more to anyone in need from their front doors. Community members were invited to enjoy the venue's signature made on hot dogs or a hot turkey dinner.
We called up our chef, Chef Mark McEwen, and we said, listen, Chef Mark McEwen, why don't we serve the neighborhood? So 500 meals. We've dropped off some meals over to the Scott Mission, and we're serving right out of the under the neon palms today as well. So it's a fun day for the El Macombo.
Meanwhile, the North York Harvest Food Bank is getting a helping hand thanks to Purolator. The company donated one of its retired delivery trucks this morning. The truck, which will help deliver donations and hot meals to communities in need, is one of 8 that Purolator has donated to food banks across the country. It comes at a critical time for food banks and people who rely on them, with dozens of volunteers busy filling boxes for the holidays at North York Harvest this morning.
There was a holiday surprise for shoppers near Ottawa today, all thanks to a lottery jackpot winner.
Patricia Ward won $70 million last year, and true to her word at the time, she's using that money to help others. CTV's Leila Rock has more.
I am here to present you with a Christmas gift today. Really? I am.
An unexpected act of generosity on a trip to the grocery store.
My goodness, I don't believe it.
Leaving Fred Warnell speechless and in tears.
Don't cry, love, don't cry, because you'll make me cry, and I'm ugly when I cry.
Patty Warden giving out more than $20,000 in grocery gift cards. A small act of paying it forward, she says, after becoming a multi-millionaire.
Congratulations, Patty.
Last May, Warden won the $70 million Lotto Max.
Since winning $70 million, Patty has been giving a lot of it away to people in need in the best ways she knows how. She says it's because she knows firsthand what it's like to go without.
Some traumatic things happened to me. Then it turned out I had cancer. And then when I got better, instead of being smart and picking up my life where it left off, I ended up downtown on drugs. I was homeless for some time, sleeping on a park bench. And with coffee, you always need a ton of sugar.
After building her life back, the mother of 4 says the money was life-changing.
It's changing the aspect of being able to do more for others, but for my personal self, hasn't changed at all. And today you got a $300 gift card to help with Christmas dinner.
What?
Yes.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Which is why when Warden heard that many families couldn't afford to put Christmas dinner on the table this year, she wanted to do something.
She's always been like this, so I'm not surprised, but I think she's incredible for doing it.
And there was one more surprise for Warnell. He had no idea the gift card was for $300.
My goodness gracious, I don't believe it. I'm lost.
A moment Warden says is priceless.
I want the world to be happy, that's all. I'm just trying to share my happiness.
Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
How wonderful. Well, yet another worry for retailers this holiday season, a dramatic increase in counterfeit currency. After the break, the numbers on just how much funny money the Retail Council of Canada says has been passed in just the last month alone. Stay with us. Gold and silver both reached new highs today, as did the TSX. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more.
Investors are looking for safe places to park their money, and their go-to is gold. Gold climbed past U.S. $4,400 an ounce, beating a record from October. Silver moved closer to $70 US an ounce. Both have had a stellar year, with gold shooting up over 65% since January. Geopolitics are triggering a move to precious metals as the U.S. intensifies its conflict with Venezuela. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 72.71. West Texas Intermediate is up almost $1.50 to 58.01. Western Canadian Select is up to 43.24. And the TSX gained another 244 points, and for the first time ever, closed over 32,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
According to the Retail Council of Canada, there has been an alarming rise in the circulation of fake $20, $50, and $100 bills. The council says in the past month alone, its members have reported more fake bills than in the entire previous year. They say counterfeits have become so good they are almost impossible to detect, especially during the holidays when retailers are busy and in a rush. They believe they are being printed by organized crime and are calling on the government and police to do more to stop it. Canadian businesses lose close to $9 billion per year to theft and fraud.
Jim Beam is pausing production at its main distillery as bourbon inventories rise amid the fallout from the trade war between the United States and Canada. The popular Kentucky bourbon maker plans to pause production at its main distillery January 1st. Kentucky has an all-time high of 16.1 million aging barrels of bourbon in its warehouses. Distillers are paying for that supply since the state charges taxes on aging barrels of spirits. Kentucky distillers paid $75 million in aging barrel taxes this year. That's up 27% from last year.
The struggling Toronto Maple Leafs announced a change to the team this afternoon, but it doesn't involve a player. The Leafs announced today that they have fired assistant coach Marc Savard. The 48-year-old was hired by the club in June 2024 and was in charge of the Leafs' power play, which is currently the last in the league at 13.3%. A replacement for Savard has not yet been named. After the break, from Mr. Dress-Up to Degrassi, we'll take you inside a new exhibit that highlights 4 decades of children's television right here in Toronto. Finally tonight, from the Polka Dot Door to Mr. Dress-Up, they are the TV shows that shaped a generation.
An exhibition now open in the city is allowing the youth of yesterday to relive their past while getting up close and personal with some iconic artifacts. CTV's Corey Baird has more.
The Polka Dot Door.
Before the streaming wars, before second screens, this was the only tube in town. Mr. Dress-Up to Degrassi, 42 years of legendary Toronto Kids TV, is both a time capsule and a love letter, a celebration of shows that shaped a generation of young minds.
Here are the Grogs. Of course, Casey and Finnegan, the Polka Dot Door, Muffy the Mouse, the Night Watchman Sam Crenshaw, and Miss Pennypacker.
Curator Ed Conroy says these shows may have lacked in budget, but not staying power.
And those programs were on for decades. You would have, say, a kid watch that show in the 1950s, and then their kids watched the same show, in the 80s. When those people come into this exhibit and they see these characters again and they see the sets, it's like seeing an old family member.
If you have kids, they're probably not even watching TV on TV. They're watching it on one of these. And as for the content itself, well, chances are it's a little bit different than the days of rabbit ears. You might be tempted to think 20th century content was simpler. The simple truth, shows like Degrassi and today's special tackled social issues decades before terms like safe spaces and trauma had even been invented.
Remember that silver flask I used to carry?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
before things were more thought through, and it's cool to learn about that.
It's nice to see that people still care about this stuff and that there's still a push to keep this sort of stuff alive.
It's a second engagement for this exhibit, a rerun as it would have been called in the 80s, so while it may be a social media world, for some people, broadcast still can't be beat.
Seeing these puppets on screen, they weren't fake. They were our friends.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Ah, so good.
Such a trip down memory lane. It makes you wonder if we made our kids watch these shows, what they would think of them.
I would love to go back and see some of those shows again. Today's special we were talking about earlier.
Classic.
Perfect.
Yeah. Door, yeah.
I've tried an old-fashioned one with my older son, and yeah, he found it a little slow. So things have changed out there for kids shows, but I love those ones too.
Yeah.
Let's take one more look at your weather for tonight. We do have some snow in the forecast. It may look on the satellite and radar that this is coming pretty imminently, but this is more of an overnight situation. Couple of centimeters of fresh snow expected into tomorrow morning, but then look what happens through the day. Tomorrow our temperature rises to 6 degrees, so we will see a changeover to some rain. Temperature-wise, we're in for a bit of a mild week, but don't worry, the cold air is going to be back. Here's one more look at your 7-day forecast. Chance of freezing rain on Boxing Day, and then look at next Monday. Back around -6 degrees. Michelle and Natalie.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but you can join Marcia McMillan tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Raheem Ladani, who has your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CB24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.